If it ain't about love, it ain't about nothing.
Just a melody.
Hello, my beautiful people. I go by the name of El Ray, and welcome to the United, where the universe is the teacher and we are the students. I created the United to help bring balance back to the world, because if you know thyself, everything in life becomes much easier. I got a question for each and every one of you. What happened to love? What happened to love? When I look at the place that we're in right now, especially in the melanated community, via social media, all of them. I see a lot of men and women pointing the finger at each other about why we not happy and why things are not working. And I think it's really time for us to hit the pause button for a second. And instead of pointing fingers at each other of why things are not working out and why we struggle in our relationships, we need to hit the pause button and really seek some healing for ourselves. Relationships have not been an easy thing for me in life as well. But now looking back and reflecting on my journey is because I wasn't truly being my true authentic self. The mask that you wear is the mask that you attract. Like attracts like. So if you're not truly being yourself, then you're gonna attract that same type of energy into your life. One of the first things that I realized when I first started going to therapy is that I need to sit down with, my mother and father. I had my own issues with relationships and trust issues. I had trust issues because really and truly, I didn't really trust anybody, because I seen the example of, growing up in a single family household. Now, my mother raised me. My father was around when I got a little older, but I didn't see a great example of a man and a woman coming together and building something stable and having a family. And I didn't really get it. I didn't really get it until I sat down with my mother and father and realized, like, hey, there's something bigger at play here. This thing has been generation after generation after generation. And just to be real, it's getting worse and worse. And it's getting worse and worse because, man, we really need some healing. We need to sit down and figure out, like, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a woman? What does it mean to come together? What does family really mean? Because the way I see it, we need healing. That's really what it is. Until I take full responsibility for my own actions and what I've done and what I continue to do, then I'm going to keep on going through the cycle. See, life is mathematics. And in math, you must show your work and you don't get partial credit. Now, when you show your work, you don't get partial credit. And if you don't learn the lesson, you have to keep repeating the lesson that you should have learned over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. And that's where we are right now. Until we actually sit down and do something different, how we connect in our relationships, we're gonna have a hard time. We're gonna have a tough time. And I wanna do something different. I want to actually sit down and talk to the people. What are we doing? Where are we going wrong in our relationships? When you grow up in a single parent household, you grow up at a disadvantage. And not saying that you can grow up grow up with a disadvantage if you have two parents in the household. But you grow up with a disadvantage in the sense of, my mama my mother is a great example of what it means to be a woman. My mother was intelligent. She was connected spiritually. She was a godly woman. She is a godly woman. And she is who she says she is. Now, growing up, my mother, you know, I grew up in a house, it was 4 boys, the house I grew up in. And my mother was a single parent. And she worked her butt off to make sure that, you know, me and my brothers, that we were good. You know, sometimes my mother worked 3, 4, 5 jobs to make sure things were good. And she did the best she could to try to teach her sons what a man really is, you know? And as much, she did like a phenomenal job, but there's just certain things that a woman cannot truly teach a man to be everything a man should be. Just like a man cannot teach a woman everything that woman should be. We need to see the example. A lot of us grow up in broken houses. You know, the family dynamic is broken. Even if you grew up with both parents in the home. Even with both parents in the home, we still grow up in broken environments. Just because a man and a woman is together doesn't mean they're truly connected. Doesn't mean they're working in tandem to make sure not only are they good together, but also making sure those children are good and making sure they are taken care of as well. You know, I can complain all day, but until I actually do something to change the trajectory of, you know, how our relationships actually go, then we just gonna keep on doing the same things over and over again. And at this point, it's really ridiculous. We gotta take responsibility for our own actions. You know, I understand why, you know, men and women are complaining about each other. It's because what example have we seen? We already have the world against us. If you're a melanated man and you're a melanated woman, you know the struggles that we got to go through. We already have the world against us. But then when we go home, we're dealing with the same thing. We turning on each other. Why are we turning on each other? That's the main time where we should come together as a unit to really make something happen, to make something work. We are better than what we show. For me, at this point in my life, I want something more than just the physicality of relationships. You know, we sleep with each other all the time. We have sex, we do that well. We have no problem in that area. But when it comes down to actually connecting on a mental level, actually having conversation to actually let each other know where we are, where we going, what we doing, we don't do that. We don't do that well. Somewhere along the line, we are missing steps. And really getting back in tune with ourselves from an individual standpoint is needed. Because what are we doing? When are things going to change? They're not going to change. They're not going to change until we do something different. I can tell you one thing, one of the easiest ways that we messing up, man, we moving through lust, man. We moving through lust. You know, we were born in the middle of a war and we don't understand the rules of engagement. And what I mean by that is, when you see a person, forget the face and forget the body, it's the spirits that they choose to embody. If you're not present and when you are interacting with other people, there's someone that's in the driver's seat. And if you're not present, then who's in the driver's seat? What spirit are you embodying? And not only that, if I'm not present and if I'm intimate with you, that is the quickest way for spirits to move around in the world. We don't really have a true connection. We just moving in a lustful fashion, just saying like, oh, you look good. I look good. Let's do something. It's easy. And not saying anything is wrong with sex. Nothing is wrong with sex at all. I'm just saying that I find it interesting that we can do that. We can have sex with each other. But what type of connection are we building with each other? What type of mental connection do we have? What type of physical connection do we have? What type of emotional connection do we have? What type of spiritual connection do we have? First and foremost, we gotta remember who we are. We're a spiritual people, and we just disconnected. The reason why we having such a hard time, man, we just disconnected from spirit. If we talk about the ancestors all the time, right? And by the way, not all our ancestors had it together. Let's just be real. Not all of our ancestors had it together. Hence, the cycle, generation after generation after generation, we doing the same things over and over again. So let's look at the ones that did have it together. Let's look at the example. You know, I come from a big family, and on both sides, you know, my mother's side and my father's side, you know, and on my mother's side of the family, you know, we have our back and forths and our issues just like anybody else. However, one of the things that was instilled in us is to support each other and show up for one another. You know, my late grandmother, she made sure that she was the glue piece. She was the person that says, hey, like, I know what's going on out there in the world, but this is what we doing. And that was instilled in us. But see, now, when you don't have the standard that our ancestors showed us, we're not moving in a godly fashion, then we're gonna have issue because we're not connected. Nothing's ever gonna come good to us in the form of relationship when we don't have the right relationship with ourselves. And first and foremost, if we don't have that connection to source, then our relationship's gonna suffer. You know, one of the things that I realized about why I struggle in relationships is because I was putting women before my connection with source, my connection with God. And because I was moving like that, I was moving on my accord. I wasn't here to do what my soul is here to do. I was moving just because, oh, I think she looks good. I think she's attractive. But does it really make sense? Do we really truly have a connection? We could do the physical thing. That's easy. But if you want more, the first thing you gotta do is really find your footing and figure out where you at. Like, I know that, you know, we're presenting each other with, you know, our individual energies, but does it actually make sense? With where you are in life, with where I am in life, does it really make sense? We confuse trauma bonding with chemistry. We do. Just because you have something in common with somebody doesn't mean that it's a chemistry that's conducive to us growing together, building something together. One of the things I realized that I had to do was I had to hit the pause button for myself when it comes down to relationships, because I realized, like, I'm really being codependent in my relationships. The things that I felt like I didn't have as a child or, you know, growing up, I was seeking that in other women. My mother didn't have the time to do certain things. And I get that. My mother had to work. My mother was a soldier. She made sure she provided for my brothers and I. She dedicated herself to doing what she had to do to make sure that we were good. She did the best that she could. And in my walk, you know, there were some things that I wish I had those conversations with my mother about certain things. But she wasn't available to do those things because she had to provide. She had to make sure that I was good. You know, my mother is a great example. And nobody is perfect. Although we strive to be better each and every day, nobody is perfect. My mother did the best she could. But along the way, the things that I was looking to get from my mother, I sought that out in other women. So a lot of times when I had issues in my relationship, instead of developing the thing in me to actually communicate, I would go find someone else to actually talk to. Instead of actually getting professional help, I was seeking help from other women, even in my relationships, being codependent. It takes work. It takes sacrifice. It takes discipline in order to truly look at yourself in the mirror. I am the reason why I have issues in my relationships. Me. Nobody else. When you keep bumping your head and when you keep having a hard time, at some point you gotta pause and just say, hey, I'm not good, this ain't working. Relationships are a blessing. Relationships show you you. Relationships show you your opportunities. And I have many opportunities. And it's important for me to have this conversation and live out loud, because I know I'm not the only one who has issues when it comes down to relationships. You know, I had to learn how to love myself. I was looking to a woman to give me something that I should have for myself. I need to love every part of myself, but I didn't love every part of myself. I am looking for someone else to fill in the blanks instead of going to God and saying, hey, I need some help. I need to work this thing out. And a lot of the things we go through in relationships, it is ancestral. No matter who your mother and father is, no matter if you have a relationship with them or not, you know, you are the unification of a bloodline. So because you are the unification of a bloodline, your mother and father came together and you are the offspring. There's only a matter of time before you have to deal with some of those same things that your mother and father had to deal with. And when it's your turn, how will you handle it? You know, we can point the fingers at our parents if we want to, but I mean, we grown now. We grown now. And because you're grown, you got to take responsibilities for, you know, your soul's path, your walk. You got to do the work for yourself. Relationships are not always easy. However, that's the beautiful part about it, because when you work in tandem with your significant other in your relationships, you build something special, not only with that person, but within yourself, because your mate is you. Like attracts like. The reason why you came together in the first place is because you had something in common. Man, the trauma bonds that I've had in life, man, is a real thing. You know, I'm hurt, you hurt. Let's get together and we be hurt together. And now I'm hurting you and you hurting me. And we break up and then we gonna go hurt some more people. And we just gonna hurt some more people. And everybody running around here hurt. Everybody running around here hurt. But who's going to break the line? It gotta be us. It gotta be us to break the line. If we don't break the line, what are our families gonna look like? It gotta be us. We are the ones. We are the ones here to break the line. When you break the line, that means that I have dealt with the circumstances that was passed along to me. But even though I was dealt these situations, these circumstances, I'm not gonna fold under the pressure. I'm going to do something different than the ones that came before me so we can break the line. So the ones that come after me don't have to deal with some of the same things that my ancestors had to deal with. If they never see the example, how do you know it even exists? I didn't see great examples of relationships. The examples I've seen in relationships were in movies. So in my mind, I thought that, things would go a certain way or they'll look a certain type of way. I'm living in La La Land, not actually looking at what's actually being presented, not seeing that our homes are broken. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who have come together, their intention was not to get together and just break up. It just falls apart. But we can do something different. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of, you get into a relationship with someone and you break apart and you have nothing to show for it. Now, I know certain things are, some people are here for a season and some people are here for a lifetime, We are all here learning. We are all here to learn our lessons. However, it gets old, man. It gets really old. It gets so old. Like, man meets lady. Man and woman date. Man and woman are official. Man and woman get married. Man and woman have kids. Man and woman get divorced. And not saying marriage is everybody's goal, but if we want something substantial, we want to build loving, beneficial relationships, we got to get ourselves right. There's nothing wrong with hitting the pause button and saying, hey, I got to work my own stuff out to make sure I'm good. Not only for someone else, but for yourself. Your relationships are a reflection of you. And when I was in a broken place, my relationships were also broken. It's a reflection of me. It's a reflection of where I am. What happened to love? Love is a beautiful thing, man. And that's the bond that holds everything together. If we never come together and we never really fix this thing, man, it's gonna get ugly and ugly and ugly to the point where you don't even recognize it no more. I wanna see something different. I wanna do something different. Instead of hitting those likes, instead of commenting under these posts that you see people make about the relationships of men doing this and women doing that, why don't we start spreading some positivity? Why don't we start saying something that's beneficial that can help that person? Like, it's really a cry for help. We just sitting here just pointing the finger at each other and we never gonna get nowhere. Like, ain't you tired? I know, like, ain't you tired? At this point, like, we gotta do something different, man. We better than this. We better than this. There are a lot of beautiful things out here in the world, man. There's a lot of beautiful, amazing people. But I'm going to make sure I do my job of not bringing my issues or my traumas to somebody else who don't have to deal with those things. We just gonna keep on continuing the cycle if we never just hit the pause button and see about ourselves. This woman was good. I came and knocked on her door, now I'm with this woman, and I done messed this woman's life up because I done brought my issues and problems to her. And vice versa. She brought her issues and problems to me. When you're intimate with somebody, you share the blessings. You share the good times. You share the beautiful things, but you also share the demons. You share the traumas. You share the problems. And that's how everything is moving so fast in the world. It's a whirlwind. It's moving throughout the world. Like, when you not spiritually tapped in, you can get some things on you and you don't know how to deal with it. That's why having these type of conversations, this is the type of content that actually matters. Like, I get tired of seeing broken homes, broken families. I get tired of seeing that. I don't like to see that, man. We gotta do better. And we got to take some accountability for our own actions and hitting the pause button and actually looking at ourselves and saying, hey, there's something so much better than this. Heaven and hell is a real thing. You don't have to die to see a heaven or a hell. It's a state of consciousness. I've been to hell. I don't want to go back. I experienced heaven. It's a beautiful thing. And there's levels to this. The more you put in, the more disciplined you are, the more you work on yourself. And it's not always easy, but the payoff is immense. Not only are you doing it for you, you're doing it for your family. You're doing it for your offsprings. You're doing it for the next ones in line, man. I don't care if you're a toddler. I don't care if you're 100 years old right now. Anybody who sees this video, we have something beautiful in us. Love. Love don't cost anything. Love is where you came from. But over a length of time, when you experience the nuances of life and you never do anything to get out of the place that you've been, the broken places, and the hurtful things that you've been through, you're not going to do anything but spread that energy to other people if you don't do something about yourself as an individual. You have a responsibility not only to yourself, but the Most High to get back to what Source created and not what the human created. Now, I can beat this drum all day, but it's not about me. It's about spreading this positive energy to other people. We should want better. We are better. We better than this. I don't want to see men and women coming online and not actually talking to each other, but we want attention. We're digging ourselves in a deeper hole, but we going nowhere fast. And if we keep this up, it's gonna be ugly. And that's why it's important for the ones who can hear this message. We all take heed to doing something different and growing. Life is beautiful. Life is a blessing. And until we hit the pause button and really see about ourselves as an individual, we're gonna keep struggling, you know? And I just wanna say, man, let's be better. Let's be better than we were yesterday. Like, it starts now. It starts now. Let's do something different. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Peace.